some of you will be going for positions like that. Who worked cruise lines? You already did an internship on a cruise line?
Kind of. I mean, it wasn't an official internship I worked, but they offer an internship. For internships with American Cruise Line, it's 8 weeks, and then regular contract 16 weeks. And I just worked a 16-week contract.
Okay.
But it's all the exact same work. For them, if you want to be an intern, it's usually through either being like an intern housekeeper or being a dining steward, and you're doing the exact same work as like a non-intern. It's just they, at the end of your contract, they fill out all the paperwork that is required for the internship program.
How would you rate the experience on it? Would you?
Work-wise, I mean, it's a good experience. I'd give it like a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
But like memory-wise, it's like I mean, I can't even beyond being able to, because it's a good experience. It allowed me to see. I was hoping to be on like the West Coast, East Coast, but I ended up getting stuck on the Mississippi River. So I didn't really go far from home, but like even then I saw places that I still had never seen before here. So from experience-wise, it was really good.
Okay. How many of you would classify yourself as somewhat risky, taking calculated risks? That's in the same way. Good risks. So we're looking at internships in the future. If you have the opportunity to study abroad, they're going to have somebody from the study abroad office coming in today and talking about that. Those are things that you should be embracing at this point in your life. I know it's tough because everyone's probably struggling for working a job, trying to pay for college, everything else. But this is the time to look not only for right now but for the future. So making sure that I would look at the internship or the study abroad that she's talking about today. That's actually going to be, I'm going to be leading that, one of the leaders of that. This summer we're going to Switzerland for 1 week and Italy for 2 weeks. You'll be able to earn 6 college credits in June. And it's just a phenomenal program. But they'll talk more about that today. But this is the time to really, if you want to own hotels, if you want to set your sights up there, you got to start buckling down right now. So that's what we're getting into. Talking about professionalism, that's workplace behaviors that result in positive business relationships. That's not only with your coworkers and your boss, but with your customers. I don't really call them customers. I look at customers like people that would go into like a Circle K. That's a customer. Okay. I'm talking about guests. Like you were talking about working in a hotel. I guess that was ingrained in me early with Marriott, but they're guests, like guests in your home. That's the kind of attitude you should have towards them. So, talking about professionalism, have any of you ever worked in an unprofessional work environment? Okay. What made it unprofessional?
I used to work at a Japanese restaurant down in South Haven, and my manager would just scream and cuss and yell in front of guests, and literally right in front of guests. I'd be at a table trying to help one guest, and then he's screaming in my ear about another table, and I'm like holding aside, taking it back. If you want to talk to me, don't yell.
Right. Have any of you ever run into those bosses, those terrible bosses like that? Those are the kind of organizations you do not want to work in. One of the things we're going to talk about here is about setting your bar high. That's why, working with top companies, Marriott, Hilton, IHG, Disney, that's not tolerated there. It's those small time operations where people get away with that stuff, and you should never ever be subjected to working in environments like that. Set your bar high, and do not ever don't ever let that happen. Personality and attitude dictate how you respond to positive and negative workplace situations. There's going to be some negative things regardless of where you're at. There's going to be some things that aren't good. But your personality, depending on how you react to that situation and address it, that's going to help dictate which way your career is going to go. If you have the terrible boss screaming, yelling, you scream and yell back, that's not how you deal with stuff like that. First off, you don't put yourself in positions where you're working and workplaces. Like, many of you ever left a job because of that? Okay, that's a lot of hands going up. If you're watching it, it's a lot. Human relations interaction with and through people, getting along with your colleagues, positive workplace interactions, result in workplace productivity. In our business, as in any other business, you have to know how to work with and through people. That's what leadership is all about. And we'll talk a lot about management and leadership. And if you go online, you'll see a lot of different posts and people talking about the difference between management and leadership. But for right now, I want you focusing on the leadership aspects. The management will come in time. There is a difference between the two, and we'll get to that in the future. But working with and through people is very, very important, especially in our industry because we are in the people business. It doesn't matter how high you go within your management career, it's still all about people. It's about the guests in your hotel, the guests in your restaurant, at your convention, whatever the case may be. And every decision you make as a leader has to be people-centered and guest-centered. If it's not guest-centered, then we'll talk about that as well in the future. But that's not what you want to be basing decisions upon. This is the one business, we're not making widgets or working some production line. We're actually working with people each and every day. And without those people, we don't have a job. That's where human relations comes in. And in personality is a stable traits that assist in explaining and predicting behavior. Behavior is a reflection of personality. It can either be positive, caring, considerate, and organized, or negative, rude, unfocused, lazy. We run into positive and negative behaviors and personalities every single day. How do you deal with negative personalities and negative behaviors? Anybody?
Kill them with kindness.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Go to human resources and get their opinion on how to deal with the situation before you get yourself fired.
Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunate. You talk about killing with kindness, and when you Roy would just like to kill him, and that's okay. But how many people think that the guest is always right?
That's what people say, but
That's things you'll hear all throughout your career. The guest is always right. Well, the bottom line, the guest is not always right. However, it's not our job to tell them that they're wrong. We need to be professional about it, and we need to, we can never get into that type of confrontation with guests. Guests are not always right. Nobody's always right. Anybody that tells you that, that's not. They're just trying to protect themselves. But Roy, it's how you deal with situations like that. We'll get into that in class as well, about dealing with guests that are out there. You really want to have that positive, caring, considerate, organized type of behavior. Not everyone is out. Everyone has their own set of personality. Some are introverts, some are extroverts, some are outgoing and seem very motivated, and some don't seem so motivated. Actually, I had somebody in class last term who self-described herself as lazy. I'm just lazy. And I really couldn't believe that she'd say that, but honestly, she just said, I'm just lazy. I don't like to work much. And I think by the end of the term, she probably, hopefully, turned around a little bit and saying, well, that may be the case. You don't want to really come out with that in a job interview. Maybe that wouldn't help you so much there, but stuff to work on. So at least, I guess, acknowledging it was one part of the process of working through it. I don't know. Experience and influences outside of work affect one's professional behavior, family, friends, religion, society. It's who's in your inner circle, who your inner circle is. I was just reading an article about this last night. Most people have at least I have a pretty small inner circle, but that inner circle says a lot about who you are as well. How many people in your inner circle would you say are negative people? Do you have many? Couple. It happens. Many people don't share the same values. Values are things that are important to you as an individual. Some people can be, especially in an organization, if you're a leader in an organization, you have a hotel, you have your own business, when people that have the same values as you, for the most part, especially with regards to business. There are good values and bad values. A lot of that's based on personal experience. We all know that. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different amounts of money. We all have different values, different personality, and different outlook on life. So we can't expect everyone to have our outlook. We just have to. I think that's where diversity comes in a lot. Is diversity of thought and having people with different mindsets, different viewpoints on things. A lot of people just like to associate with people who have the same mindset that they do, the same beliefs, and that's, to me, is, I look at diversity a little bit differently, where I like to surround myself with some people who think differently and don't always agree with me. That way I'm able to learn. So things to keep in mind as you're running a business, you don't want to always have people who are just there saying what you want to hear. You want to hear people's point of view. So things to keep in mind. Attitude, strong belief about people, things, and situations. It's related to personality and values, but basically it's an individual's performance, how it influences the group's performance, which impacts the organization's performance. In the hospitality business, we have to have an attitude of service. We have to have that's a spirit of hospitality is a spirit of service. We have to want to give. That's our whole job, is making experiences for people. Regardless if you work in food and beverage, hotels, casinos, doesn't matter where. Our job is to create experiences for people. When you work at Disney, or you want to work Disney Cruise Line, that's where they're there. You're in business to create these experiences. That's what we have to keep in mind. A lot of times in business, as we go up the ladder, we start looking at profitability and bottom line, and we kind of take our eyes off